Are you tired of feeling stuck? You learn new words, but they vanish the next day. You listen to native speakers, and it just sounds like fast-forward gibberish. You try to speak, but your mind goes blank, and your mouth refuses to move. You've read grammar books, downloaded apps, watched tutorials, yet your English still feels broken. And deep down, maybe you've even thought, maybe I'm just not meant to be fluent. What if the problem isn't you? What if the way you've been learning English is just plain wrong? Let's be honest. Most traditional methods are useless. Textbooks are boring, full of outdated phrases no one even says. Flashcards. You memorize today, forget tomorrow. And those YouTube lessons? Too fast, too robotic, or just too confusing. The result? You stay stuck in beginner mode. You avoid conversations. You smile and nod, even when you didn't understand a single word. And slowly, painfully, you start believing that fluency is for other people, not you. But here's the truth no one told you. Your brain doesn't learn through rules. It learns through real connection, emotion, and story. Just like LeBron James didn't become a legend by memorizing manuals, you won't become fluent by memorizing grammar. He made mistakes, lost games, fell hard, but he kept rising. He learned from real practice, from pressure, from the rhythm of the court. That's exactly how you will master English, not by studying harder, but by learning smarter. In this video, I'll show you 4 powerful tips that finally make English click. No complicated rules, no boring lectures, just what actually works. Tip number 1 helps you speak clearly, even if you're shy. Tip number 2 builds vocabulary you'll actually use in daily life. Tip number 3 shows you how to train your ears to understand fast English. Tip number 4 uses emotion and story to make words stick forever. These are the tips my students used to go from, I can't say anything, to, I just had my first full conversation in English. And now, it's your turn. So picture this. You walk into a coffee shop, order with confidence. No fear, no stuttering. You understand movies. You join group talks. You finally feel like you belong. That moment, that future, starts now. Smash the like button if you're tired of feeling stuck. Subscribe to Control English, because we don't just teach, we change lives. Turn on subtitles. And let's begin with the 4 tips that will finally make English clear for you. This is not just a lesson. This is your breakthrough. Lesson 1. Maria stood in front of her mirror, practicing the same sentence again and again. I'd like to order a cheeseburger. Her voice trembled slightly, even in an empty room. She'd moved from El Salvador to a small town in Kentucky 6 months ago. Every day she worked hard at her new job, smiled at neighbors, and listened to American music. But whenever she needed to speak, really speak, in English, something in her froze. It wasn't just the grammar. It was fear. Fear of being misunderstood, of sounding wrong, of being judged. She knew English words, but she didn't feel like she had a voice. Lesson 2. At work, Maria cleaned offices late at night. One evening, she bumped into Mr. Frank, the building manager. He smiled. Hey, Maria, how's your night going? Her heart raced. She wanted to say, fine, thank you. And you? But it came out as a mumble. Mr. Frank tilted his head kindly. Sorry, what was that? She blushed, gave a small smile, and nodded. Later that night, Maria sat in the break room and whispered to herself, I need to speak clearly. I need to be heard. Lesson 3. The next morning, she typed into YouTube, How to speak English clearly. Hundreds of videos popped up. Some were too fast, others were too complicated. But one video caught her attention. 4 simple tips to speak clearly in English. The woman on the screen spoke slowly, warmly, like a friend. The tips weren't just about words. They were about power, clarity, confidence. Maria leaned in, eyes wide. Maybe this was what she needed. Not just new words, but a new way to use them. Lesson 4. The first tip was, speak slowly, not quietly. Maria paused the video. That hit her. She always spoke quietly, thinking it was polite or safe. But quiet wasn't clear, and clear was what she needed. That evening, she practiced again. I'd like to order a cheeseburger. This time she stretched the sentence like music, not loud, but full of air, space, intention. The words didn't stumble, they walked. When she tried it at the local diner the next day, the waiter smiled. Great choice. She smiled back. It felt new. Lesson 5. The second tip was, use your face, use your body. At first, it sounded silly. But then Maria watched the woman in the video. She moved her hands, lifted her eyebrows, smiled as she spoke. It wasn't just about pronunciation. It was about expression. Maria realized that in her own language, she did this naturally. Why not in English? So she tried it. When she spoke to her neighbor, she added a small wave and a clear smile. Good morning. The neighbor waved back. Good morning, Maria. She felt her heart lift. It wasn't magic. It was a connection. Lesson 6, the third tip was, pause with purpose. This one puzzled Maria at first. She had always thought pauses were signs of weakness, like she didn't know what to say. But in the video, the woman explained that pauses give your words space to breathe. They show confidence, not fear. Maria decided to test it during her next phone call with her little brother back home. Hi, Diego. How are you? She waited. Let the words land. Diego laughed. Your English sounds better, Hermana. That made her smile. Maybe less was more. Maybe silence could be strong. Lesson 7. One afternoon, Maria met a mother and daughter in the laundromat. The girl accidentally dropped some coins near Maria's feet. She bent down and handed them back. Here, you dropped these. The mother smiled. Thank you. The girl added, You talk nice. It was such a small sentence, but it stayed with Maria. You talk nice. She wrote it in her notebook that night. Her words were beginning to matter. They weren't just sounds anymore. They had feeling. Lesson 8. That weekend, Maria walked into a library for the first time since moving. She nervously approached the front desk. Hi, I'm looking for books to help me speak better English. The librarian nodded warmly. We've got just the thing. She handed Maria a section card labeled ESL, English for Speakers of Other Languages. Maria held the card like treasure. Rows of books, stories, practice guides, a whole world waiting to help her grow. She realized she didn't have to do this alone. Lesson 9. She borrowed a simple novel. Short chapters, easy dialogue, and big print. That night, she read aloud. Slowly, carefully, like the woman in the video. I am not afraid. Each word felt like a step up a mountain she was no longer scared to climb. She didn't rush, she didn't mumble. She read like she mattered, because she did. In her heart, something started to shift. It wasn't just about speaking clearly, it was about believing she had something worth saying. Lesson 10. Maria made a decision. She would join the local community group that met every Wednesday evening in the church basement. They called it Talk Time, a place where people practiced English through conversation. She'd seen the flyer weeks ago but never had the courage to go. Now, things felt different. She arrived early, heart pounding. The room was full of voices, people from different countries, ages, lives. When it was her turn to introduce herself, she paused, took a breath. "Hi, my name is Maria. I came from El Salvador, and I'm learning to speak English clearly." The room clapped gently. Maria smiled. She had never felt so heard. Lesson 11. Maria left talk time that evening feeling like a small light had turned on inside her. She wasn't just studying English anymore. She was stepping into it, becoming it. On her way home, she passed a young man trying to fix his bike chain. Without thinking too much, she asked, "Need help?" He looked up, surprised, then smiled. "Nah, I got it, but thanks." Just those 3 words, "need help," showed her how far she'd come. She had initiated the moment. She had connected, and it felt powerful. Lesson 12, back at work, things started changing too. Mr. Frank, the building manager, noticed her growing confidence. "Maria," he said one night, "you've really improved your English." She blushed, but he wasn't done. "Would you consider taking a shift at the front desk, just part-time, greeting clients, answering calls? You've got a good voice." Maria's mouth opened, but she couldn't speak for a second. Her first instinct was to say no. But then she remembered the 4 simple tips. Speak slowly, use expression, pause, believe. She nodded. "Yes, I'd like to try." Lesson 13, the first day at the front desk, was terrifying. Every ring of the phone made her heart race, but she reminded herself, you don't have to be perfect, just present. When the first call came through, she picked up, smiled, and said, "Good evening. You've reached Hartwell offices. How can I help you?" Her voice didn't shake. The caller responded, calm and kind. Maria listened carefully. She wrote things down. She asked him to repeat a few words, and that was okay. She didn't hide. She handled it. Lesson 14. Maria began journaling each night, not just to practice her English, but to remember how she felt. One night she wrote, "Words are not just for school. They are for building bridges." Another night, "I don't need to sound like an American. I just need to sound like myself, clearly." The journal became her mirror, her coach, her quiet friend. In one entry, she wrote something bold. "One day, I'll tell my story in front of others." She paused, looked at the sentence. It scared her, but it also lit a fire. Lesson 15. At the community center, the director announced a new monthly event. Story Night. People were invited to share stories about their journey, where they came from, what they've learned, what they dream about. Maria's hands got cold. Her heart beat faster. But she knew this was the moment. She signed up for the next story night, 1 month away. Every day she practiced in her notebook, in the mirror, and out loud. Her story wasn't just about moving to America. It was about finding her voice, 1 word at a time. Lesson 16. As the story night approached, Maria became a student again, not in a classroom, but in life. She practiced her speech each morning before work, whispering it on the bus, mouthing the words while folding laundry. Her nervousness was real, but so was her hope. The script she wrote wasn't fancy. It didn't use big words, but it had something stronger. Truth. My name is Maria. I came to this country afraid to speak, not because I didn't know the words, but because I didn't believe they mattered. Every time she read it aloud, she stood a little taller. Lesson 17. One evening at the library, she met a teenage boy struggling with English homework. He was flipping through his dictionary, frustrated. Maria sat beside him. "Want help?" she asked gently. He nodded, embarrassed. She walked him through a few confusing phrases, explaining them like the librarian once explained to her. By the end, he looked up and said, "You should be a teacher." Maria laughed, but inside, her heart warmed. Maybe helping others was part of her future, not just learning English, but using it to lift others. Lesson 18. Maria stood outside the community center the night of story night, holding her notes with both hands. Inside, people gathered, sipping coffee, sitting in folding chairs. She could feel the pulse in her palms. What if she forgot her words? What if they didn't understand her accent? But she remembered something powerful. She wasn't speaking for perfection. She was speaking for connection. As they called her name, she stepped forward. Her voice might tremble, her hands might shake, but her story, that was solid. Lesson 19. The microphone felt cold. The room was quiet. Maria took a deep breath. And then, she began. My name is Maria. I grew up in a small village in El Salvador. Her voice carried. People listened. Some leaned in. She told them about her first days in America, lost in the noise of a language she couldn't hold. She told them about her notebook, her mirror practice, her first hello at the laundromat. She spoke slowly, clearly, with heart. And when she said, "Now, I help others find their words," someone in the back wiped a tear. Lesson 20. After the applause, soft but real, Maria stepped down from the small stage. The director approached her. "That was brave," he said. "Would you like to lead a beginner English circle here, just once a week?" Maria froze. A teacher? Her? But then she smiled. "I'd love that." That night, she wrote in her journal, "My words are not broken. They are building something." She no longer feared conversations. She invited them. And in doing so, she had discovered something greater than language. She had found her voice. Lesson 21. Maria's first day leading the English circle brought a new kind of nervousness. She stood before a group of 6, a quiet man from Haiti, a grandmother from Vietnam, a young father from Syria. All eyes were on her. She smiled gently and began, not with grammar rules, but with something more personal. "When I came to this country, I thought English was just hard. But now I know it's also beautiful." The room softened. They began to open up, sharing names, small dreams, and favorite words. A simple start, but the beginning of a new ripple. Lesson 22. Week by week, Maria became not just a learner, but a leader. She taught others what she had once taught herself: how to breathe before speaking, how to listen to rhythm, how to believe in the sound of their own voice. She brought in everyday objects, a spoon, a key, a scarf, and used them to build real-life sentences. "This is not just vocabulary," she would say. "It's your life. You live in English now, so speak like you live it." She watched her students slowly bloom, the same way she had. Lesson 23. One day, a young girl named Layla came to the group, eyes shy, hands clenched. She had stopped talking at school because other kids laughed at her accent. Maria sat with her after class. "I used to hide too," she whispered. "But when you hide your voice, you hide your light." Maria handed her a small stone she carried, her courage stone. "Keep this. Speak one word tomorrow, just one. That's your win." The next week, Layla ran into the classroom and shouted, "Hello!" The room clapped, and Maria's heart nearly burst. Lesson 24 months passed. Maria was now working full-time at the front desk. She still cleaned on weekends, but with a new spring in her step. Her boss began asking her to help train new staff, especially those nervous about speaking English. One day during lunch, a young janitor from Honduras approached her. "I heard you used to be afraid too." But now, you're strong. Maria looked up, surprised. You heard right, she said, smiling. But I stopped asking myself, what if I make a mistake? And started asking, what if I grow? That was the difference. Lesson 25. On a cool spring evening, Maria stood once again in front of a microphone, this time at a citywide adult education event. Her speech was simple, pure, spoken clearly, with warmth. I came here with nothing but my suitcase, a notebook, and fear. But I found something better, a voice. Not a perfect one, but a real one. One that says hello, one that asks questions, one that teaches. If you're learning English, don't wait to be perfect. Start now. Speak today. Say one thing, and say it like it matters. Because it does. Because you do. The room stood in quiet applause, not for a perfect speaker, but for a powerful one. Maria walked off the stage, head held high. Her journey wasn't just about English, it was about becoming. And now, to every learner out there, in a small town, a busy city, or anywhere in between, she says, your voice is waiting. Use it. Your world is listening.
If you loved this video and want to improve your English faster, do these 3 things right now. 1. Hit that subscribe button, because I drop powerful English lessons like this every week. 2. Smash the like button, so YouTube knows this video helped you. 3. Share with friends, because everyone deserves to speak English confidently. On the Control English, you get the world's simplest English tricks. Tap the bell icon to never miss a new lesson. Today's challenge: share this video with 2 friends and tell them, this channel will change your English game. Thank you. Keep learning. Keep growing.